Hey guys, what's up? British Shinobi here, coming at another video, and in this video, I have some video game pickups from a local game store, some merchandise from a Best Buy in the mall, and also some miscellaneous merchandise that I've gotten. So without further ado, let's get into it. First off, we have two Sunset Overdrive koozies, and basically, whenever I ordered my Sunset Overdrive on Cyber Monday, it came with one of these. And I'd been waiting for about a month, and I hadn't gotten one, so I called up Best Buy, and I asked for another one, because I had not gotten mine. So they shipped me this one, and then a day later, this came in. So I have two of them now. I guess it's pretty cool, since this is probably not a very unlimited amount of copies that were made of this, so I'm not going to complain about that. Really nice to have these. I am going to keep these sealed. A long time ago, before I had a YouTube channel, I had done a TurboGrafx-16 deal with somebody, and one of the games was Sidearms for the TurboGrafx-16, and it did not have a manual. The guy called me up and said that he had a manual, so I picked this up. I had already long since sold that Sidearms because I had ran across a complete copy, so now I have an extra manual for Sidearms. Up next, in cleaning my room, I found a Kid Icarus Uprising set of cards. This is the one from the 3DS. I think these are AR cards, so I never opened these, but whenever I sold my original copy of Kid Icarus Uprising, I must have left these out. So this is really cool and a nice surprise to see this. Now getting on to the Best Buy at the Mall stuff. First off, we have a Pokemon Art Academy art book. It's empty right now. I don't think I'm gonna do anything in this, but Pokemon Art Academy was a 3DS game where you can draw Pokemon and other things, which is kind of neat. I don't have this game, but it's pretty neat. We also have Super Smash Bros. Stickers. We have a Captain Toad Treasure Tracker puzzle sealed. We have a lot of different kinds of stickers. Mario Kart 7, Nintendo 3DS, it says Play Nintendo 3DS, Yoshi's New Island, Tomodachi Life, Kirby, and the new Pokemon that just came out. A whole bunch of stickers. Up next we have an NES Remix poster, which was awesome to get. This will hopefully find a place on my wall somewhere. We also have a Pokemon Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire poster, which is pretty neat. I actually think this was a wall stick because this itself comes off slightly. So this is pretty neat. We also got keychains. We have a Torchic from Pokemon, Mudkip from Pokemon, and Trico from Pokemon. So those are pretty cool keychains. Now we're going to get into the video game store finds that I got. So I'm going to tell you the story on these. Basically, I went to my retro video game store in my area, and I saw that they had just gotten in a new shipment of Genesis games. I asked them if I could see it. They said they hadn't put any prices, but if there's any of them that I want, they'd put on prices. Basically, what they did was they mispriced a whole bunch of them because they were doing it in a hurry, so these games averaged out to about $6 a piece. Okay, so first off we have Shove It, the warehouse game, which is a really interesting puzzle game in which you push boxes into certain areas to get them to, you have to get them all on the white dots. The fun thing about this is you can only push them, you can't pull them, so if you get it stuck in a little corner, you can't get it out and it's stuck in that corner. So this is a really interesting and hard puzzle game. Whenever you look at it at first glance, it looks really easy, but it's actually not. It's very difficult. Up next, we have X-Mutants, which is basically a game where you play as X-Men series mutants, but not really. From what I've seen and what I've played of this game, it looks like it's pretty interesting side-scrolling action, but the controls look like they're a little unresponsive. But if anybody knows if this is a really good game, let me know. Up next, we have Thunder Force 2 for the Sega Genesis, which is a very different series in the Thunder Force series. In this game, you have your regular side-scrolling left-to-right shoot-'em-up, and you also have a open-world shoot-'em-up where you can shoot in all directions and move in all directions to acquire missions and defeat them and all of that good stuff. So this is a very interesting game. Unlike Thunder Force 3, 4, and Lightning Force, I think that's 4, on the Sega Genesis, so pick this one up if you are looking for a good shoot-'em-up. Up next, we have Beast Wrestler on the Sega Genesis, which is considered to be one of the worst games on the Sega Genesis console. In this game, you are a beast who wrestles things. The only thing is, the controls are extremely unresponsive, it doesn't really tell you how to do all the moves, and most of the time you find yourself kicking or hitting or doing whatever move you're doing through the enemy and not actually hitting the enemy itself. Up next, we have Street Smart, which is a very fun game made by Trico. And in this game, you do street brawls where you fight against other enemies and you take out their health, and at the end you are rewarded money in a very interesting betting system in which you can bet whatever amount of money you have on you or the enemy. And if you could just say you have $1 million, you could bet $1 million on the enemy and lose, and then you would get $1 million added to your $1 million that you have. So it's a pretty interesting game, and you have your money system, you also have a level up system, so every single time you beat an enemy, you can level up stats like attack, power, health, speed, defense, and other things like that. So a really interesting game if you're looking for a nice brawling game. Up next we have Heavy Nova, which is another horrible game that I would not recommend to anybody. Okay, so in this game, it is a side-scrolling platformer, not really platforming, but you have to punch and kick things and jump your way through stages. The only thing is, you have a punch and kick button that usually ends up going through your enemies. If you walk and you touch a stone, you will take damage even though you're in a heavy mech suit. And the bosses is unresponsive, the controls are unresponsive. Even though the Sega Genesis features 3 buttons, your A and B button is a hit and kick, and your C button does nothing, while jumping requires the use of the up button. So this is a very horrible game that I would not recommend to anybody at all. Up next we have Phelios, which is a very interesting game on the Sega Genesis. In this game, you are Apollo, the sun god, and you ride on a Pegasus in this shoot-'em-up, side-scrolling, not really side-scrolling, mostly shoot-'em-up aspects, as you can fight through the Greek gods and make your way to saving Athena. So this is a very fun and interesting game, not too expensive by the last time I checked on it, so this is a good game that you can get and get on your list, because this is a game that you will want to play, because it is very fun. Up next we have Bimini Run, which is a interesting Genesis game in which you control a little boat and you shoot things at other boats and blow them up for missions and other things of the likes. So this is a really interesting game, was not what I expected to see whenever I booted it up. I expected to see just a regular boat racing simulator game. But I was really surprised whenever I saw that you throw bombs and other things at other boats to blow them up. Very interesting concept. Up next we have BattleTech, which is it would be a very fun and interesting game if it did not have bad controls. You can shoot and walk around, but the only thing is, you can shoot and to move, you use your D-pad, and you have to press a button and then move your mech with the D-pad as well to aim when you're shooting. So if this used 2 D-pads or 2 sticks, it would be a lot better than with 1. But other than that, this is a fun game to just unleash havoc on different things. Up next, we have Deadly Moves for the Sega Genesis, which is a fun and interesting game likened to the Street Fighter series, in which you fight your enemies using different combo moves and other attacks of the likes, and you have health bars, and you take them out, and basically, it's your run-of-the-mill fighter. It's a fun fighter, it has interesting characters, and their moves are pretty awesome too, so definitely check this game out. And last but definitely not least, we have Mystic Defender on the Sega Genesis. And Mystic Defender on the Sega Genesis is a wonderful game which has been likened to a shoot-'em-up, a side-scrolling action game. Basically, you are this character right here who has a ring that fires out energy balls at your enemies. And this is one of the first games that came out on the Sega Genesis in the earlier lifespan of the Sega Genesis. It has really good graphics for its time, so I would definitely check this game out if you're looking for a fun game. I have a question. Do you have any good Christmas memories with video games? And if you do, let me know in the comment section down below. For me, it was last year at Christmas. Basically, what happened last year at Christmas was me and my dad had spent a lot of money on video games that year, so we didn't really have a lot of money to be spending on Christmas, as my mom and dad told me. So I wasn't really upset. I already had a lot of video games that I had wanted to play, so it didn't really upset me. So I got Pokemon X and Y for Christmas under the Christmas tree, and my mom and dad looked at me and told me that they had one more Christmas present, and they pulled out this big box and said it was for the family. I opened it up, and it's an Xbox One. So at this point, I didn't really know what to say. I was really surprised. I was really happy. I wanted an Xbox One, even if there weren't that many good games for it out yet. I still had really wanted it, so that was really awesome. So my parents had let me play with my new games and all of this new stuff for about a half an hour, and then they called me up from my basement and asked me, they told me that they had another Christmas present for me. So at this point, I didn't really know what it was going to be, but they took out another big box, so my brain was racing with all these different things that it could be. I opened it up, and it was a PS4. So at this point, I was extremely excited. I was very happy. I was very grateful to my parents, and it was nice to see that they'd pulled such a prank on me and to where I fell for it. So at this point, I was really excited. I thought that was the end of it. And after that, we went to my grandparents' house. And this is where we do our other Christmas exchanging and all of that. So I got some pretty nice stuff from there. And then on the way back in the car ride, my parents told me that they have one last Christmas present. So on the whole entire car ride back, I was really excited. I was thinking about what it could be, and I didn't know what else they could give me that they hadn't given me already. And we got home, and they took out another big box, and I opened it up, and it was the Wind Waker Wii U. So it was really awesome. That was one of my favorite Christmas memory that I can remember, and it was just wonderful. That Christmas year was one of the best days that I've ever had. But other than that, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. This is Roger Shinobi, signing out.